Hi, my name's Adam, and I'm going to show you how to find the actual sale price for almost any house in Alberta for absolutely free. That's right, I'm not selling you anything. This isn't a free to try system. This is a 100% government owned website that you can go to without having to pay or even log in, and you can see actual sales prices of houses 100% for free. So right now you might be asking the question, all right, Adam, like this all sounds too good to be true. What's the catch? And I will say there is a little tiny catch. You have to use a very old government-supported website that is not very user-friendly. Fortunately, at the end of this video, you're going to have all the information you need to know to comfortably navigate that website and be able to find most of the information that you need pretty quickly. And I'll be honest, the website, although it's not pretty and it's not very user-friendly, it actually does a pretty good job at giving most people the information that they need. It's just that most people don't know that it exists or how to use it properly. I personally think it's a tool that would be very helpful for most people that are looking to buy a house. And I think it's something that more people should be aware of. And so with that, let's get into it. So as a reminder, this is a website that primarily serves Albertans. So if you were living in another province, then this won't be of a huge help to you. But if you live in Alberta, this is right up your alley. So the first thing you need to do is visit this website, www.spin.gov.ab.ca. And that will take you to the Spatial Information System. This is also known as Spin2. Likewise, if you go to Google and you just type in Spin2 Alberta, you'll find that it's probably the first link that comes up in your search results. Either way will get you there, but as soon as you get there, you'll be presented with this screen here. Now, the thing that you want to do, you're going to notice that there's a login screen down here. You don't need to log in. You can actually just click guest, and that will give you access. There's a bit of a disclaimer here. All you need to do is click agree, and then now you're in the system. If you hop up to the top navigation bar up here, you'll see a button that says search. Click that. And then you want to search by street address. And then it's going to start to load a map here. There we go. We've got the province of Alberta. And over on the right hand here, we need to start searching for the address that we're looking at researching. Now, one of my little tricks is that I usually bring up Google Maps alongside this because navigating through this map interface isn't the most intuitive, and there's some data that doesn't quite exist with data as we know it in this system. You know, addresses aren't listed on this map the way that they are in real life. And so what I recommend is just opening up another tab in your browser. So I'm just going to open up Google. And the house I'm looking for is 611 McIntosh Road, Northeast Calgary. And the reason I have chosen this house is because you will see in just a moment here that it has a nice bright blue roof that is going to be easy for us to see and easy to point out. So as you can see here, it's actually this house right here with this nice shiny blue roof, and that's the house that I've chosen today. So you're going to see that it's actually on the west side of McIntosh Road Northeast, and so we're going to start searching for this address. So we've got 611 McIntosh Road Northeast. So we're going to type in the house number field, 611 McIntosh. Street type is going to be road. As you can see, we have a lot of different options to select from, but we're going to select road. This is in Northeast Calgary. Now, if you live in a smaller city or a smaller town, you don't necessarily need to put the quadrant, but it's important to be aware of this is a required field if you're in, let's say, Calgary or probably Edmonton. And municipality, here this is going to be Calgary, but of course, your municipality will vary. And then when I click find, as you can see, it's actually brought up the area for me. Now, right now, the tool I have selected is the pan tool. So you can tell that because it's a little hand, and I can actually move this pan tool around. Yeah, so you can see here that the map is populated with something that looks very similar to what we're looking at here. And typically the house that you're looking for, the house that belongs to this address, is usually somewhere near the middle of this map, but it might not be exactly there. So you might need to use this little hand tool and pull the map around a little bit. As you can see, it doesn't load quite as fast as Google Maps, and so it can be a little bit frustrating to work with sometimes, but that's okay. Just be patient. And when you find your house, and we have found our house here because we know that it's on McIntosh Road, and it's actually the third house in on this street right here. As you can see, that is exactly what that blue house is right there. It's the third house in on this street. So it's this one that says 18 here, and this is what I meant by how the numbers don't necessarily line up. Here, according to the city, this is lot 18, but of course, it's house number 611. So different data here. Don't let these numbers fool you. This is why you have to have Google Maps open when you're doing this. So now that we've found our house, we're going to move down here to the bottom navigation bar. We're going to find the little icon that has the letter I and a little mouse cursor next to it. We're going to click that. That's our information icon. So now that we've selected our information icon, we can hover over the property that we're interested in, and we're going to click that. Now for me, this opened in another display, but you can see here that this actually opens up a little window here, and we can see that the last time this house was registered was in 1966. So this was actually sold probably pretty close to new, and it's been the same people who have been living there ever since. Once you're at this screen, you can click on this little document and binoculars icon over here, and that will bring up another window. And as you can see here, this house was probably originally bought in 1966 for $15,665. And now if you're wondering, okay, but like, is there any more current data in there? The answer is yes. And so I'm actually going to exit out of both of these, and I'm going to look at the house immediately south of that. It's going to bring up another little window here. This one was sold more recently in 1979. Still some pretty old data. And you can see here that it was sold for $72,000. And we can easily just start making our way down the block here. And I don't need to close out these windows. They'll automatically update if I just move them to the side. So this one was actually sold this year. In fact, January of this year. So this is some pretty new data. And if we click that, we can see that the house there sold for $392,000. And now sometimes you might see two different values here. You'll see the value here and the value up here, and then you'll see the consideration. Typically, if you see a dollar value here and a dollar value here, they're going to be the exact same normally, but what consideration means is just, you know, from a legal sense, what was exchanged for this deal to happen. Now, sometimes if, let's say, the house is being sold to a family member, though the value might be high, since it's not an arm's length transaction, this value might be a little bit lower for some reason. But typically, you know, this value underneath here is usually the one that you can trust. And yeah, it looks like this house at the end of the block sold for $392,000 in January. So what does this mean for people buying a house, especially investors? Okay, so there's a lot of information here that can help you understand the story of who's actually buying this property. And what you can do is you can use that to help to understand how you can make a deal that works out for both of you. For example, if the house has been owned by one owner for the last 40 years, they probably own that house outright, and they're probably a little bit more flexible on the price than perhaps somebody who bought that house 2 years ago and has a mortgage on it and needs to be able to close and pay off that mortgage in order to sell it. So, you know, the person who's lived there for 2 years might not be as flexible on their negotiation as the person who's lived there for 40 years, and maybe they're looking to downsize. So it's important for you to maybe understand a little bit of the history of the house so that you can negotiate a deal that works the best for all parties involved. Now, regardless of what the person's story is, at the end of the day, everybody who's trying to sell a house has a problem. They need to sell their house. And you are the potential solution to that problem. You might be able to come along and buy that house from them. The point here I'd like to make is just that the more information you have, and there's some very valuable information here, the more information that you have, the more likely you are to actually get a deal done because you can actually have a better understanding of the entire situation, not just the details that you might find on the MLS, for example. Now, before I wrap up, there's a few caveats that I want to make about this system. The first being that It doesn't update in real time. Obviously, it's an old system, so they probably do batch data uploads. I imagine this is probably happening a few times a week, but I've never actually really checked to see how current these title transfers are. So, maybe give it a little bit of grace. It's probably, it could be a couple weeks out of date for all I know, but you will be able to find pretty current data in here. If you need to know how much a house down the street that sold just yesterday sold for, you're probably not going to be able to use this system, but a real estate agent should be able to give you that data because they would have access to the Matrix MLS system, and you would definitely be able to see that there. So really, if you're just looking for a system that will give you entire market data and you don't mind if that data is a few weeks old, then this is definitely a very handy tool for you to have. The very last caveat that I would like to make about this system is that it's old enough that it actually has operating hours, kind of like the government, kind of like a bricks and mortar operation. As you can see here on the website, it's open from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. on the weekdays, 7 a.m. to 11 on Saturdays, so it's open late on weekends, and Sunday from noon to 11 p.m. So it does have limited hours of operation. It shuts down outside of those hours to do maintenance. So yeah, if you're a night owl and you're planning on doing all of your deal analysis in the evening, just be mindful of that because the system will actually just kick you out if it's after hours. So yeah, that's my tutorial on how to find the actual sale prices for houses in Alberta. And if you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. Thanks.